From the top rope to your collection, this is collecting the 1, 2, 3 presented by Cardboard Dugout. I am your host, Moon3PO, and this is my tag team partner, Bropio, coming in with our Money in the Bank prediction episode and talking just the morale of wrestling in WWE. There's been a lot of controversy right now with WWE. We'll talk about that obviously a little bit later in the episode, but before we dive into it, Bropio, how you doing?
Do pretty good tonight. I think a pretty solid overall Monday Night Raw. I feel like I don't know if it was just me or not, but did you feel like there was a little bit more like wrestling on this episode of Raw? I don't know. Is
Yes.
that a weird thing to say? Like there wasn't as many like nonsense, like the stupid interviews that they do with NBA players and like I don't know. I feel like this was like the one episode that in a long time that I think actually had a little bit more of the wrestling side. So I don't know. I found that pretty interesting. But on that, it's been a pretty good night. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I agree with you 100%. A lot less shenanigans today on the outside. Not a lot of backstage segments. Obviously, we had our typical Judgment Day, Roxanne Perez, Liv Morgan stuff. We had, our, of course, our Karrion Kross backstage segment, which anytime we get to see Karrion Kross on TV, it's always a good time. But yeah, I agreed. It was a pretty solid episode. Like once you start off and kicking off with the triple threat match between the Raw debut of Stephanie Vaquer, Ivy Nile, and Liv Morgan. I'm like, all right, we're off to a good start. CM Punk obviously had the opening segment as well. A little bit of an interesting promo with Sami Zayn, I would say. Didn't see that one coming. And then of course we had some tag team matches with the new faction of Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker and Jey Uso and Sami Zayn, which Sami Zayn was getting down the ring. There was a funny tweet with like my last two brain cells at 3 a.m. and it's both of them like dancing. I haven't seen them dance like that in a long time, so it was good to see.
I already got that. I got that gift saved already on my phone.
So it was good to see them teaming up again, obviously doing their cool little fancy little bloodline handshake. But yeah, overall solid episode. Gonna be curious to see if Friday can follow up with that. Obviously this episode, depending on when, I'm not too sure actually when this episode will be out. Maybe a Friday release, maybe a Wednesday release, just because we do have another episode planned for the middle of the week, which I think that will be delayed till Monday. So got to figure out when I'm able to get this out. But obviously will be before Saturday, Money in the Bank, which is, I believe, it's in Los Angeles, right? Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken.
Money. Yep, it's at the
Yes,
Intuit
it's at the
Dome,
Intuit
which is where they had
Dome.
Netflix debut. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
so
you
I'll
know the
probably see
lights are gonna
some.
be looking all fancy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll have some fancy technology stuff, and we'll have some fancy presentations because yeah, the presentation style on that Monday Night Raw, even though it was a Netflix debut, that was probably like one of the better presentations that we've had in a long time when it comes to wrestling Monday Night Raw. So it'll be pretty cool to see what they do for a PLE. They better do something nice for a PLE. I know there's been some backlash on how the stages have been real bland and like just because they're trying to like cram as much seats in there, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, jumping a little bit ahead. But there's been obviously the discussion of how these stages have been so bland the last couple of PLEs or whatnot. But let's dive into it. Los Angeles, Money in the Bank, 4 matches on the card. So not a lot of matches, not a lot to talk about. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about when it comes to the matches, but not a lot of source and content when it comes to the card. But the 4 matches here that officially have been announced is we got Lyra Valkyria versus Becky Lynch for the IC title with the stipulation that if Lynch loses, she can no longer challenge for the title as long as Lyra Valkyria is champ. And if Valkyria loses, she will be forced to raise his Becky Lynch hand and acknowledge Lynch as the better woman. And then we have here the main event, which I will obviously we'll talk about this when we get closer to it. We got Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus John Cena and Logan Paul. And then we got the women's Money in the Bank here. We got Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez, Rhea Ripley, Julia, Naomi versus Stephanie Vaquer. And then we got the men's match here. We got Sol Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and El Grande El Mexicano. So let's start off with Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. I know we had Lyra winning the last PLE, but I'm going to flip it here for this one. I think I don't see a world where Becky drops 2 PLEs in a row, or 2 matches in a row to Lyra Valkyria. So I do got Becky Lynch becoming the new women IC champion and kind of start elevating that title a little. I'm not saying Lyra hasn't, but I think if you throw the belt to Becky Lynch, I think it'll kind of legitimize it just a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm rolling with you on this one. I think Becky's gonna probably grab this one. I think it's also kind of interesting too. Like, I kind of makes me wonder. Like, I'm pretty sure. I guess I don't know if it's like maybe creative didn't have anything planned, but it makes it really seem like they had like no plans for like Lyra when she first won that IC title. Like the fact that this IC title is finally getting to like a little bit more of a prestige. Um, like they had to wait for Becky to come back. Like the fact that they waited this long to finally like put this title on the map. I don't know if that kind of makes it seem like they obviously didn't have nothing planned for it. But yeah, I don't see Becky losing this one. Um, and also, I guess it gives it like it doesn't say that if Becky wins, like Lyra can't go back and challenge for it again. So it kind of makes
Yeah.
it sets it up for. I mean, technically, this would be their third match because they fought down at NXT that one time for the title.
Mhm.
So I mean, it could possibly set up a fourth one. And then if Becky does win this one, I don't know, maybe you can kind of maybe insert Bailey back into the picture since Becky was the one who attacked her. So I don't know. There's a couple of routes you can go that way. So but yeah, I agree with you. I think Becky's probably gonna take this one.
Yeah, I can see it here where potentially maybe Lyra is gonna raise Bailey's hand, or not Bailey's hand, raise Becky's hand, and maybe they do like a beat down, and then you get Bailey back into the focus. Obviously, she's been gone since WrestleMania, and I don't think it's a real injury. I just think it's like a write-off injury from what I've heard. I don't think there's a real legitimate injury. She was on Natalia's yacht boat and she looked perfectly fine. So I don't think there.
Yeah.
I don't think she's hurt. So yeah, you could definitely bring Bailey back in the fold, have Lyra, Becky go at it one more time on Monday Night Raw, and then from there, kind of just squash that feud and maybe have Lyra go do something else, and obviously have Becky try to legitimize that title. Because yeah, I agree with you 100%. I feel like the U.S. women's title has done a little more. I think Selena Vega did a lot more than Lyra did for the title. I feel like they put a little bit more effort to it. I think Chelsea Green, anything she touches, I think Chelsea Green turns it into gold. And I can't say the same thing about Selena Vega. I like Selena Vega, very good wrestler. I like her a lot, but this title run is not doing it for me. Hopefully Julia like squashes her like in 2 weeks and we can get that title off of her because yeah, that title run has been horrendous. But that's for to be determined on that. But yeah, I think this will be a fine match here. I think they'll. I don't want to say steal the show. I don't know if it'll be the best one there because their NXT match is pretty good. I've been doing a lot of rewatching wrestling, so it is a pretty good match. I'll probably put that one first and the most recent one. So we'll see how this one does here in their trio trilogy match. But we'll save off the main event. We'll save off the tag team because I know that's technically the main event, which pisses me off. But we'll talk about that later when we get there. So we'll keep it with the women. We got the women's Money in the Bank here: Alexa Bliss, Roxanne Perez versus Rhea Ripley versus Julia versus Naomi versus Stephanie Vaquer. Now this may just be bias. This may be more recency bias, but I think this is probably the most stacked women's Money in the Bank match and of all the history. I think this is the 8th, or I think this is the 9th annual women's. I think they put a stat
Yeah, I
today
think this is gonna be the
that
ninth
all
one.
women have all the women that have successfully cashed in it's been at 8 out of 8. So I think this is the 9th one.
Yep.
But yeah, just reading this name off just like on a name basis, this is the most stacked women's Money in the Bank ladder. I don't know if you agree with me on that, but from a talent wise and like name wise, like you can go many ways with this. But this to me is, I think this is gonna steal the show.
Yeah, I mean, I have to go back and like look at other like who was in other previous like Money in the Banks, but yeah, I mean, just like by looking at the names on there, like, um, yeah, you can just tell like the talent is loaded. Shout out to freaking Stephanie Vaquer La Primera. She's pulling double duty on fucking
Double
Saturday.
duty.
She's doing at
That's
the.
crazy.
She's gonna be at Worlds Collide 2 in that tag team match with Lola against those other two girls, which I have no idea who they are. And then she's got to run across. I think apparently I don't know if it's true or not, but I don't because I heard Michael Cole on commentary say that where they're having Worlds Collide is across the street from the Intuit Dome. I don't know if that's true or not. I guess after Stephanie has at Worlds Collide, she has to just run across the street. I guess to the Intuit Dome. But yeah, other than that, I mean, yeah, this these women in here is it's stacked, and I think this probably should have main evented the card if you ask me.
And shout out to Stephanie Vaquer as well. I don't know if you saw the tweet I posted on good old X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it, rocking the Raw debut patch. So maybe
Oh
we
yeah,
finally
you know
got.
I couldn't find it. I had a hard time finding it, and I just gave up after a while. I even had my
Yeah,
wife.
dude,
I was like, look,
I was playing
look
a
for her
Where's
raw patch.
Waldo
I
with
can't
that
find
patch.
it.
I was playing a
I could
Where's
not find
Waldo
it.
with that patch. I was making dinner while watching that match. I was going back and forth, and then didn't see on the entrance on the right of the back because obviously I think the more like common area to put up the patches on the boots. I think that's like been like the more common
Yeah,
area that we've seen. So when I didn't see on her boots, I was like, oh my god, like did Tops and Fanatics and WWE butcher this again? But luckily she had it on the back strap of like her singlet or whatever the hell she wears. So she had it like on the left side, I
Okay.
think. So made a little TikTok about it. So go check out the TikTok if you guys are tuning in. So she did have her debut patch. So I think it finally clarifies what clarifies of the debut patch. I did say in my TikTok. So if you guys don't go check it out, I'll say what I said here. I still am in the firm believer that I think she should have had the debut patch on the Monday Night Raw episode after Mania when she fought Io Sky. I think she should have had the patch on there and not now. But I
Yeah.
guess now maybe this clarifies that you have to be officially on the respective brands. But even with that too, Fraxium still didn't have their debut patch, their SmackDown debut patches. So there's still a lot of question marks. But like
Yes.
JC Mateo had
That's
his.
why I even brought
I
it
don't.
up. That's why I brought it up too. I tweeted it out last Friday too, like when Ethan Page was on SmackDown on the commentary. Like, I mean, you couldn't really tell, like he was all suited up, but like, I mean, from what we could see, it didn't look like he had a patch on.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if you have to get like called up to the main roster if you're in NXT, or you just signed and debuted on the main roster, then you have your patch. But who freaking knows anymore, dude? Liv
Yeah.
Morgan wore
I
her
think.
WrestleMania patch on Raw, so it's all
Yeah,
tainted.
Liv Morgan was still wearing her Olivia Rodrigo inspired gear, was still wearing her Raw patch on her sleeve, which is absolutely bonkers that she still had that on. You would
That was
thought that
crazy.
they would just gone right after the match and boop, take it off. But hey, maybe easier said than done. Who knows? But yeah, again, stacked match, stacked talent in there. I obviously we are talking before we hit the record button. I was like, I'm looking at the men and women involved in both these matches. I'm like, I don't even know who's gonna win. So even as we discuss it, I'll let you go first. Maybe you convince me on who can win this, but who you got taking the women's Money in the Bank?
Oh man, this one could go. It's funny. I saw a tweet. They're like, if they want to make the internet wrestling crowd pissed off, you let Rhea win, and then if you want to if you want to go out like and shock people, you have either Julia or Stephanie win. So I was like, dude, that is true. Um, I don't know. Like honestly, I think I'm trying to think of like how it could play to like into like storylines and stuff like that. So I kind of want to say like Roxanne Perez kind of makes sense just because like the whole judgment thing, the whole judgment day that's going on where like even Finn even dropped it like oh Roxanne can win the Money in the Bank and bring the world title back to the locker room, stuff like that. I don't know if they would automatically have like Julia or Stephanie win, even though I know they're like I want to say they're not new, but like obviously they killed it down to NXT. But like Julia's already obviously shown interest in the women's United States title. Um, Stephanie's, I mean, you could make sense that it could make sense if Stephanie wins it. Naomi, I don't know. Has she won it before? Did she win the Money in the Bank before? She's never
I
cashed
don't
in, right? I
I
know
don't
she's
think
won
she
the I know she's won. You know, I'm on here. Let me check. I know she's won the um
what I feel like
the
Glow in
world
the Bank
title, the women's world
was
title.
something that I remember seeing. Was it not a
That's why did that
thing?
sound? Let me see. Let me look on
It
her.
sounds like something I remember seeing.
Uh, according to Wikipedia, she has not. She has won the SmackDown Women's title twice, but not the Money
Yeah,
in
I
the
remember
Bank.
being a SmackDown champ.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know about her. I feel like her thing with Jade is probably still like unsettled to where like that could probably trickle down to SummerSlam. Honestly.
Yeah.
Um, and then Alexa Bliss. Um, I would like for Alexa Bliss to win it, but I don't know if her whole thing with Charlotte is getting sidetracked with that thing too. Um, so and I don't know if there's ever going to be like any kind of like correlation with her and the White Six. They haven't really like hinted at it yet. Even though they kind of do like those little teasers. I know when she first came back, they did like those little weird teasers and stuff like that, like the way they did. And even Uncle Howdy, when they did that promo on Friday, where he's like, "We're not going to stop until we get what's ours," and I'm not too sure what he meant by that. I don't know if he meant the tag team titles or so. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb and I'm gonna give it to Roxanne Perez only because I think she's got to get rewarded for her dues from the performance at the Royal Rumble and then the Chamber, and then they owe her for fucking dropping the ball in the fucking Bailey feud, and so I'm gonna go with Roxanne Perez,
Yeah.
our state hero.
Yeah, they say great minds think alike here. Because as I was reading off here and I was listening, I was like, I can see where this goes to Roxanne Perez. I love Alexa Bliss. We'll love to see her win it. But yeah, like you mentioned, kind of being that tied to that Charlotte area, and obviously there's always that connection to the Wyatt Six. Um, are the Wyatt Six and are Alexa one of those few like talents where they don't necessarily need the belt right now or need the title? Maybe eventually they do, but there's always been that rumor like the Wyatts don't need it, or maybe if Alexa goes over there, like she's the missing piece or whatever the case may be. Um, Rhea Ripley falls into the category where she doesn't need the
I
Money in the Bank. I
totally
don't.
forgot about Rhea. I didn't even mention Rhea.
Yeah, so Rhea Ripley falls
I
into
think
the category for me where she just does not need it. I don't hate that she's in the match. I'm not a Rhea. I know the internet wrestling crowd just hates everything these days. Where like they can like you one day once you win or do whatever you're supposed to do, they can flip on you in an instant.
it's like I feel
I'm
like
just
they
in the
hate you like once they hate you once you're like super super over. I think it's the same thing with like
exactly.
Jey Uso. Like they once you're
Yeah,
at the that certain top of the mountain, like they just start to fucking hate you and just turn on you.
yeah,
But yeah,
yeah. I don't get
yeah, I
it.
agree with you.
I don't.
I don't think Rhea needs to win it. Um, but I hope that if she loses, it doesn't have anything to do with like Liv Morgan because I don't think we want to see another Liv Rhea because they were fighting at that
Rhea.
Netflix presentation thing, whatever the hell that was.
Dun-dum. Yeah, I was like watching it for a little bit just to see that. I was like, yeah, I don't know what it was. I think it's kind of like I thought it was like an awards thing, but I think it was more like a presentation type thing. I was hoping they would have shown
Yeah.
something for the Netflix, the writers' room. I think it's what it's called. I know they briefly mentioned it, but they didn't
Oh
show
yeah.
like anything about it. But yeah, Rhea Ripley is a talent that I don't think needs it in this stage of her career. I think she's perfectly fine where she's at. And I think after this, if you want to throw her back to EO, you can do that as well if you really want to. Even though I feel like I don't want to say they're butchering this EO run, but like she hasn't really done anything with the title, or they haven't really done anything with her with the title, minus unless it involves Rhea. So maybe they throw her back to her. Who knows? Julia, Stephanie Kirk kind of fall in the same category for me, where like you nailed it there, where they're not new, but I think they're just talent that don't necessarily need it right now because I think they can do different things. Like you mentioned, and like I briefly just mentioned here towards the beginning of the episode, where I just think Julia is a perfect U.S. Women's Champ. Go off, squash Selena Vega in like 5 minutes, take that title from her, and elevate that title a little more. Because yeah, that Selena Vega run has been horrendous, man. I feel for her. I'm not just saying it to be mean, but I feel for her. And Naomi, yeah, again, is a the heel turn has sold me. I wasn't really sold on the heel turn in the beginning, but the stuff that she's been doing recently, the whole Jade Cargill thing, the whole Bianca Belair thing, talking about her mom, putting her in a wheelchair, things like that. Her tweets have been hilarious. She had a funny one
Yeah.
with Jade Cargill. She's like, I hate that he's gone and you're still here when
You're still
referring to the
here.
R-Truth release. So like the fact that she's like lived up to that heel persona on Twitter or X, where you want to call it, has been phenomenal. So I'm fully sold on the heel turn for Naomi, but I wouldn't be surprised if she wins. Don't get me wrong, but yeah, I think kind of falls into that area where she's just tied into different things where I don't think it's needed. So I think the perfect person to win this is Roxanne Perez and kind of go on that little Tiffany Stratton run, where you're fairly new, you're young, you're barely getting your feet wet into the business. Now I won't say feet wet into the business, but as far as the main roster, carry it for like have one of those real like long, lengthy Money in the Banks, hold it for a year, half a year, and then go on and cash in whoever's champ. Maybe it's So EO, maybe it's a Rhea Ripley. Hell, maybe they find a way to give the belt back to Liv and she catches on Liv. Who knows? But yeah, I think it'll be an interesting thing, and it obviously ties into more of the drama having in the clubhouse and with the Judgment Day. So putting the stamp on there, Roxanne Perez, hometown hero, local hero for us here as women's Money in the Bank. But now let's head off to the men's Money in the Bank. This one here, once again, we got Solo Sikoa, LA Knight, Penta, Seth Rollins, Andrade, and El Grande Americano, who is pulling a supposable double duty because Chad Gable will be at Worlds Collide, and then Chad Gable, who's not American Grande Americano, will be at Money in the Bank. TBD on that. I saw somebody put a funny tweet that if they don't pull I think where or El Grande Americano gets hurt and then Chad Gable comes out and replaces it. I saw a funny tweet like that. I was like, oh, that'd be kind of funny to see that.
That
But
would be funny.
yeah, I was a little bit disappointed that I'm not saying that disappointed that he won, but obviously me being the Punk fan that I am, or we are, obviously would have loved to have seen CM Punk back in a Money in the Bank match. Obviously, he had his fire promo in the beginning of the episode, calling out The Rock, John Cena, and kind of calling out Jey Uso, not really calling him out, but kind of just referring to him. But calling out The Rock and John Cena was a nice little touch. But this one here, I guess I'll lead it off here as I read off the names. I don't see Solo winning this. I don't see that happening. I don't see Penta winning it. I think Penta is involved in the IC stuff, and then maybe down the line, I think WWE's eventual thing is I think they're going to bring back Rey Fenix together with him. Not saying I'm not a fan of it, but I think Penta is obviously a better single superstar in my opinion right now. You could give it to Rollins to elevate that faction, but if I'm being honest, I don't want Rollins to win. Like I don't need it again. I really don't. Andrade, like let's be real, El Grande Americano, let's be real. So I mean, if I'm a betting man here, I would say third time's a charm. I wouldn't see why LA Knight wouldn't be the one to be the favorite to. I don't know what the Vegas odds. I don't know what the betting odds are, but I wouldn't see why. If you look at the list, I would say the best names you could probably bet on is Seth Rollins and LA Knight. But if I'm looking at this here from like a build standpoint, I'm gonna go with LA Knight.
LA Knight. It's a good one. Man, I'm trying to think where this would go. And I think like if you want to go like biggest pop, like to get a big pop of the night, I think you probably had it right with LA Knight or even Penta. I am honestly scared that they're gonna have Seth Rollins win. Not that I don't like Seth Rollins. I love Seth Rollins. I just think where he's at, he does not need this Money in the Bank briefcase. Like he really doesn't. Same thing for Andrade. I think he's honestly just in there just to be the spot man. Unfortunately, that's the way I think it was last year with him and Carmelo. Solo has no business being in this match. To be honest with you, if there was a way to swap Solo and Jacob Fatu, that'd be great. If anybody has any ideas on that, please let me know. Although he has been funny. Did you see his dance on Friday?
his little knee dance. I feel like he's got his charisma back. He lost it when when obviously lost for Reigns. He lost it for a little bit, but the fact that he's back, like, it's to me like his charisma's back. You can tell. I don't know if it's a whole JC Mateo thing. I don't know what it is, but you can tell that he's back a little bit. So it's nice to see him enjoying himself again.
Yeah, so he's been funny, but yeah, again, I don't think he has any business being in this damn match. Which who do you qualify against? It was Rey Fenix and who was the other guy?
Rey Fenix and
kind of Rey Fenix took the pin.
Carmelo was in the last one.
Carmelo was in the last one. I honestly can't remember. Does it say here on the fucking thing? Jimmy. It was Jimmy Uso.
Oh
Jimmy,
yeah, Big Unk.
Yeah, Big Unk. Same thing for El Grande Americano. Like him with the Money in the Bank briefcase would be fucking hilarious, honestly. But it just, I don't know, it doesn't make any sense. So I'm honestly torn between LA Knight and Penta, but I'm trying to think. Like I'm kind of rolling with you. Kind of feel like that way. Like third time the charm, and he would be a good person to carry around that Money in the Bank. So now that I'm actually thinking about it and speaking into existence, I think honestly he's gonna win it. I'm trying to make a case for Penta, but actually I can just see like El Grande Americano like screwing him again, like hitting him with that stupid headbutt that he always does, or something like that. So
I did think it was a funny nod on tonight's match or tonight's match where they had him check his mask when CM Punk and AJ were kind of pointing his head. That was a nice little nod. He stole one with the damn thing, but that was a nice little nod.
The damn headbutt. Yeah, you know what? I'm rolling with it. LA Knight, third time's a charm.
Yeah,
Cash in on
because I just don't. Yeah, and I just don't see. Yeah, I don't see like anybody else. It comes down to me, LA Knight and Seth Rollins. I just don't think Seth Rollins is the guy right now for it. 2 weeks ago, we didn't talk about it, man. It was crazy that Paul Heyman called him the future of WWE. I'm like, this dude has been in the company for how long? You're calling him the future? Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
that's absolutely wild.
That was crazy.
That was wild work. And I could see a case of where maybe like he's climbing up and maybe CM Punk screws him over again, which I saw somebody talk about it. And I guess we can kind of talk about it a little bit since we're on the topic of Rollins and Punk and all those guys. Are you kind of tired of the Punk and the Rollins thing? Like they've been doing this for like 6+ months now. I know some people are kind of saying we're like, CM Punk kind of needs to go and do some other things or feud with other people. Obviously, Cena's time is ticking down, and it seems like obviously Punk is still somewhat tied in this trio feud. Um, but I did see some comments of people saying that they're kind of tired of Punk being involved with Seth.
I don't think I'm getting tired of it, but I think it is getting to the point where like there's nothing really new that's getting added to it. Like we already know like how Rollins feels about Punk. He's told us millions of times how he hates him and he's a cancer and all this other stuff. And vice versa, same thing for Punk for Rollins. But I think it's also getting to that time where it's gonna time to put the nail in the coffin, I guess you should say. Um, so I think this probably could conclude at SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam is probably gonna be like the end all for like a lot of these fucking rivalries, honestly. Where it's just time to, we're getting towards the middle of the summer. We're gonna head into the fall. Like, let's just end all these feuds and let's start fresh with something new. Um, so I wouldn't say I'm getting tired of it, but it's also getting to the point where it's like, all right, I'm expecting it to happen. Um, and I don't know how they're starting to tie in all these guys now, like with Jay getting involved, Sammy's also involved. Now, for some reason, AJ Styles is starting to get involved with his whole backstage promo tonight with Paul. And then obviously I think Bronson Reed had like bumped into him when he was going to do the
Mm-hmm.
phenomenal forearm on him. So I don't know. Let's see where they go. Let's see where they go with that route. But I wouldn't say I'm tired of it just yet. It hasn't hit the real live momentum yet. If you want to compare it to that.
That's a good comparison. Yeah, I just saw some
Yeah.
people talking about that on the interwebs the other day. I'm like, oh, that's an interesting thing. I'm in the same boat. I don't know if I'm exactly tired of it, but I can't see where it can get to that point. So I think they do need to somehow wrap this up and kind of maybe a drafting happens where you move them somewhere else, Punk to SmackDown, vice versa. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but yeah, I think it's getting there, but I'm not there yet. But I was like, oh, let's bring it up here on the pod, get a little interesting convo on that. But let's now head to the main event. I say that unfortunately here that this is the main event, but we got a tag team match here of Cody Rhodes and Jey Uso versus the tag team of John Cena and Logan Paul. You can hear the tone of my voice how excited I am about this match. We obviously watched Saturday night's main event together, and then we saw John Cena get involved with the Jey Uso and Logan Paul match. Cody then comes back, makes a save, then setting up the tag team match. I guess I would say we're safe for now because we didn't get Travis. Obviously, the big thing involved was that somehow Travis Scott was going to be involved in this and make it a 6-man tag team match. So we don't have that, which, I mean, I don't know if that's any worse or any better. But
Bless up.
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm just not sold on this whatsoever. The promo on Friday did nothing for me whatsoever. It was hard, and I've been the biggest Cena homer on this heel turn. Like, I've been the one trying to like play as like, oh, this is awesome, this is good. I get all the hate. I get it. I understand if people don't like it. I understand it 100%. But yeah, this to me is it's just a waste. Like, I do not understand it one bit. I don't know how you feel about it. I don't think we've really talked about it, but yeah, this is I don't
Yeah,
like
I
it one
think
bit.
I've said it before, like on previous past, like the whole like John Cena heel turn has not like clicked with me yet, and it hasn't clicked since probably when it actually happened, and the first promo he cut that was overseas. I think it was in Brussels when he gave us the reason why he did it and stuff like that. Like ever since then, there's been like a disconnect for it. Um, and yeah, this ain't helping. Like the lining with Logan Paul is definitely not helping. And I know somebody was trying to defend it on Twitter, saying that he was just trying to. I guess if you want to quote unquote, like if you want to continue with his, I'm trying to ruin wrestling. Well, what's one way to ruin it? Is to gloat and praise Logan Paul because apparently people hate him. you know, so which I don't neither hate or love Logan Paul for totally cool. You can't deny like what he. I think I've said this before already too, but you can't deny like what he does in the ring is it's crazy. Obviously he has his personal stuff and beliefs and stuff like that. That's not going to be discussed on here, but you can do it on your own research and all that stuff. So that's why I don't really neither love him or like or hate him. It's kind of just there, but I mean you can't deny the dude is talented. So, but yeah, I mean this is just like a random ass like This belongs on Monday Night Raw or Friday Night SmackDown. This should not be the main event of one of your PLEs. Like, I get that it's John Cena final, like his retirement tour. Um, but yeah, it's just not like, I don't know. It's not clicking. Like, I can't. It's hard to believe that John even agreed to waste one of his dates on this match. Same thing for Jay. Like, why can't Gunther and Jay Uso be on Money in the Bank? Why do they have to fight on Raw? Like, it literally can. It's a 4-match card. They can just slide that card. Like, they can slide that match in and make it a 5-match card, which usually they kind of do. So I'm surprised there's only 4. So maybe they'll add something on Friday. I don't know. I think it's highly unlikely, but yeah, I don't. It's a throwaway match for me. And I guess it's a. I don't know. It's shouldn't be on this card.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, that was going to be one of my like final thoughts or like final things here. Like from the rumors that we've heard is like Cena has given Triple H and Creative and WWE like the list of people that he wants to work with. So it's hard for me to acknowledge that he went to Creative and was like, hey, like I want to team with Logan Paul and go against Cody and Jey Uso. Like I feel like that's going to be the match that I want to have at Money in the Bank. Like it's hard for me to, and maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Obviously, I'm not John Cena. I'm not in the mind of John Cena, so I don't know what this dude thinks on a daily basis about this retirement tour. But yeah, it's hard for me to sign off on it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. That promo did nothing for me. The praising of Logan Paul, and then it's like they already had like their like you can tell like they're already like disagreeing and like they were already like kind of butting heads already. So that was even weird. Like I know some people were also talking about too, like maybe this gets Cena back turning face, but like I don't think that's gonna happen either because you still gotta have Cody face him one more time for the championship. So yeah, I don't see that happening one bit. And we didn't even pick a winner. I obviously we were just so disgruntled with this match, but it's hard for me to have John Cena and Logan Paul winning this, having your world heavyweight champion and the guy going against John Cena again. It's hard to lose that. It's hard to go against that. So I would think here Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes, the returning Cody Rhodes, would be the favorites and probably are the betting favorites for this match. So I will put my money on Cody and Jey Uso.
Yeah, probably. I'm pretty sure Logan probably gonna take the pin, and I can see like probably Logan taking like the finishers from Cody and Jay, and then like Cena's just like looking from the ramp or some shit like that. You know, they do it. But yeah, I see them taking it too. But yeah, again, I don't think this match belongs on the card, and it's coming from us who are like we're big fans of Cody, Jay, and John Cena, and we're saying like, hey, like something ain't working here. It's not clicking. Yeah, I feel like they just like put this together literally like within weeks, but who knows, man? I don't know. Who knows what they think about
Yeah,
this
I
stuff.
don't know. I want to see this on the writers' room. Put this. I want to see the thought process behind this. I want to see this shit in the writers' room. Put that in there so I can see what maybe years from now they'll change my mind. But I want to hear about this. I was gonna say one crazy line though that I did like in that promo. I know I was talking crap about that promo when they were about to leave. And Cody, like, where are you gonna go? You're gonna go polish this Peacemaker. It's not that cool. That part was crazy. Cody Rhodes, man.
Yeah,
Cody
that was
Rhodes
probably.
like he's a crazy talker these days on the podcast that he was there with Brandy
Did
Rhodes.
you let? Have you seen? I was about to say, have you seen the episode of it?
Yeah.
That shit was hilarious, dude. Big dog walking through.
Big dog, big walking through. Woof.
I've been walking like him now in the house, like the dinosaur stomp.
Dude, my wife says I stomp in the house. So I was like, every time now that I'm stomping in the house here, I'm like, hey man, big dog's walking. Big dog's gotta eat.
Big dog.
So I've been saying that. So
I've been stomping around the house now lately. A lot more.
I just naturally stomp. I don't know if I have heavy feet or heavy heels. So they're like, oh, we know when you're coming in. So yeah, like, hey, big dog's gotta eat. Woof. So that's been me the last. I've been saying that now. Praising Sabrina Carpenter on the podcast. What else did he do? He was talking about like Brandy Rhodes is it was off the charts in that podcast.
The big old
tickles. Oh, what else did he say in that damn podcast that was like off the hinges? Dude was just talking a bunch of nonsense.
But did you see like the little because I mean obviously he doesn't really talk about it, but the whole AEW what the hell would you call
departure?
Yeah, departure from AEW. how he said it was kind of like Dark Knight s, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. We're obviously referring to, if you don't know, it's the Dark Knight. Which in the movie, at the end of the movie, if you haven't seen it, spoiler, they uh they perceive Batman to be the villain. Like he takes the fall for Harvey Dent, because obviously Harvey Dent ended up killing and going nuts and stuff like that. So Batman takes the fall for him. So I was kind of interested to see, like, I was like, because you haven't really seen anything, and I don't know if he's ever gonna talk about it or so, but to kind of make it seem like he took the fall for like bad stuff and it wasn't his fault was kind of interesting. So I don't know.
I
I know it
think
had something
from
to
what
do with
I've
Brandy,
yeah, I was
from
gonna
what it
say
looks like, or
from what I've heard, it had something to do with Brandy. I don't know exactly what it was because I believe her role was like merchandising or like she was in that like area, if I'm not mistaken. And I yeah, to this day we don't know. I think he said that he's never gonna like talk about it, or if he does, like he said that he'll put it in like in a book or something. Uh,
that's kind of what I
but yeah,
thought. Like they need to
yeah,
make a book or something.
he said something it's something along the lines. He either said that he's not going to go into further detail, or if he does, like he'll put it in a book or something. But he's not going to come out right now and publicly like say like, oh, I left AEW because of this and this. And but yeah, I think the rumor has always been that it was going to be like it involved Brandy for whatever that was. So
Yeah,
yeah. So yeah, when he did mention
I
that, like
thought that
Dark Knight, I
was
guess I was like,
pretty interesting
I was
comment.
like, that's pretty
Yeah,
interesting. I had to think about it for a little bit. I was like, is he talking about like being the bad guy and like taking the fall? So even I had to think about it.
yeah.
He's always speaking like in riddles and rhymes sometimes, where like something you really have to like sit back and think, what the fuck is this dude saying? So I had to think about like, what the hell does he mean by that? And then I have to like, oh, okay, I understand that. So interesting for
and
that.
the last thing that freaking had me dying when he's like, "Oh, I'm trying to audition for the role of Pascal for the live action Tangled." If you don't, Pascal's a little lizard.
The little lizard. Richard
Yeah,
Brown, you're like, you've been bringing up Sabrina Carpenter a lot.
who's that?
Great
Is that your
artist.
girl? So I'm trying to get the role of Pascal. Oh
Yeah, so
man.
Cody's unhinged, man. He needs to get the belt back and go on another generational run. But good to see Cody back in the fold. Unfortunately, it's in a match that I don't want to see, unfortunately. But it looks like that rematch will probably be saved off for SummerSlam, and then maybe that's the end all be all of this heel turn, or see where it goes from here. It's to be determined. We don't know where the hell WWE is going with all this stuff at this point. Usually we have a good sense or at least an idea, but with all these here, I generally have no idea where they're doing with all this. But that kind of leads to our last topic, and maybe one of our more lengthy topics here is the morale of wrestling, and the morale, not morale of wrestling in general, but more morale within WWE. Obviously, this past weekend, we had the releases of R-Truth, and then we had the release of Carlito, which I was live on Whatnot, and somebody in the chat put that he got released, and I was like, what? I was literally working out and saw that he won like a AAA title, or like he won a title, I think in Puerto Rico, and I thought it was part of
Yeah, I think
AAA, if
it's
I'm not
his. It's
mistaken.
his. I think no, I think it's his family's promotion.
Oh, okay. Then I read it wrong. I sound like
Yeah,
an idiot on the Whatnot string. 'Cause I was like, didn't he just win a title in AAA? That's what I thought it was when I saw that. And then before Raw aired, we saw Valhalla is not getting her contract renewed. Which I believe she's married to Eric. I think that's what I told you, right? She's married to Eric, if I'm
yeah. I
not
don't know
mistaken.
which War Raider it is, but I know she's
Yeah,
married to
she's
one of
married
the
to
War
one of them.
Raiders.
I believe
Yeah,
she's married to Eric, if I'm not mistaken. Fact check me on that for listeners of collecting the 1, 2, 3. And then there's just been a lot of stuff within WWE TKO. There's the promotion stuff. If you guys were on Twitter, you saw me talk about it. We saw that Slim Jim is now going to be on the logo for on all tables, according to the report. I was fine with the ads on the mat. Like, that's fine. The Prime bottle in the back, that makes sense. That's exactly what I said in my tweet. But the Slim Jim logo being on the table, like, that to me is just ridiculous. Then obviously the big thing that's been talked about on chatter online is just all the booking of the events, and the booking of the events obviously being in line with the AEW events. We have Great American Bash, I believe is what they still call it down in NXT. That's was miraculously going to be during the weekend of All In, which is in our hometown, not in our hometown, but our home state. Then AEW is doing some shows in Philadelphia, and then NXT got announced for some shows in Philadelphia during that same week. There's obviously other events that are happening. Obviously, this weekend, like we kind of talked about, how like you could have had Worlds Collide last week or 2 weeks ago when there was nothing going on. Yeah, you're having it on this super stacked weekend. There's just different things going on, this, and that. Um, it's just been absolutely madness with TKO and WWE and all that. So we just wanted to have a little bit of an open discussion here as far as of how do you feel right now with the morale of WWE? We talked about the releases a couple of months ago as well. All those superstars are finally coming back and starting to speak out. We had Corey Jade on Arrow Lani today, so a lot of superstars are finally starting to come out. But how do you? What's the general consensus of right now? How you feel watching WWE from a business standpoint, from a product standpoint? Obviously, we're talking about our truth a little bit into more detail, but yeah, I'll let you lead it off first. But yeah, and just in general, with everything going on, how are you feeling about the morale of specifically WWE, not wrestling, WWE?
Yeah, I think you're kind of starting to see from like a business standpoint of like how TKO like wants to run this show. And um like I said, they're a business, so obviously they don't want their business to hurt. So what are they going to try to do? They're going to try to steal business from the competition. So obviously that's AEW. If you want to like compare it up to like New Japan Pro Wrestling, stuff like that. Um, it's just like the timing of all their stuff is just very weird. And I don't know, like I want to say like I guess you could the proper term you could probably use is like you can kind of say like the honeymoon phase is over in a sense to where like after WrestleMania 40, like or I guess everything leading up to WrestleMania 40 was like you can't miss TV. Like every Monday, we're all glued to our TVs with the whole, Cody, Roman, and the Rock storylines and stuff like that. Um, I can't recall what ticket prices were back then, but I don't think they were to the point of the prices where they're at now, to where like sometimes like they're kind of unaffordable in a sense. Um, but ever since I think at the end of WrestleMania 40, where we're just kind of like, all right, like now the ball is gonna get rolling, and I mean, you even saw when we did our WrestleMania prediction pod or WrestleMania 41 prediction pod, we just kind of felt like I was like, eh. And even when we did our post, it was kind of just like, eh, like it didn't grasp like the way it did the previous WrestleMania. And I think it's still been to like that too. And it's just the timing of like all their crap. It's just like they announced like they bought what did they buy, AAA Mexico promotion? Like
Triple A, yep.
they buy AAA, but then they release like half of their NXT roster and people on the main roster, and then like that same day they'll tweet like, oh, what are your SmackDown predictions? It's like, really, like you just released like all these people and you're talking about your damn SmackDown. Um, it's like same thing like today, and then like you always hear like rumors. Well, obviously when they bring guys back, like they brought in Rusev back, they brought in obviously they brought Penta in earlier. They brought back Aleister Black. There's rumors of Mariah May that's coming to WWE, but then they have like contract renewals that they didn't do to like vets like Ron R-Truth, who's been in WWE for I think for like more than like 15 years. So it's just I'm wondering like if it's really TKO that's making these calls or if it's on the WWE level that's making the calls. Like that's what I'm kind of curious to know. Um, because I don't know if you saw Sonya Deville. She was on Ariel Helwani's show too after she got released, and she was talking about how she was in like renegotiations for her contract for to resign, and she said that like the negotiations were good and like nothing was bad, and they were just negotiating, I guess, on numbers. I guess that's what it was, and then all of a sudden they came back one day. They said, hey, like we're not gonna proceed. We're just not gonna renew your contract, and it just like completely blindsided her. And I thought that was real interesting. So I don't know if that's the same thing that happened with Truth, Carlito, and Valhalla. Because if I'm not mistaken, they weren't released. Their contracts are just going to expire, and they're not going to renew them. Um, so I don't know. It's just it's very weird. They always do. They announce these weird things, and then they do another weird thing, and it's just the timing of stuff is just weird. Um, I don't know how I feel about the whole like uh promote like having events on the same day. Like I don't know how I feel about that yet. Just because I don't watch a lot of AEW, so it doesn't really bug me right now. But if I was like a big AEW fan and a big WWE fan, like I guess kind of like you have to pick and choose stuff like that. But um, yeah, I don't know. Like again, I don't know if that comes down to like a TKO thing. Is it a Triple H thing? Every time something bad happens, we like to go for Triple H. So I always think of that stupid Josh Peck meme.
That
We
video.
fucking hate
Fuck
you,
Triple H. Or the Jim Ross
So every time
meme.
something,
Damn you!
yeah.
Damn you! Damn you, Triple H!
So it's kind of like I don't. I it's just unfortunately like he's the one who gets to blame, and I don't know like if it's his call. Like I don't know whose call it is, honestly. Um, like is it a Nick Khan thing where obviously he says that he had that famous quote where he says that we don't bench people and stuff like that. Um, and I also think that's another thing. Like if you think about like how TKO is like again, if this is TKO running this stuff, like the prices of tickets are high. Like some tickets are like it's just crazy prices. Like you know, it's just insane. Like to take a family of four would cost you like 500, $600 depending on where you sit. Like you know, it's just crazy. Um, you got the crazy ticket prices. Damn, I had a train of thought. And I just completely lost my mind. Oh, the stage is like
The stages.
I've had a
Yeah, we
gripe
briefly
about
talked about that.
these damn basic stages. Like I hate them so much. Like I remember why they did it. I remember what they did it when it was leading up to WrestleMania 40 because like everything was just so hot that they wanted to legit get every fan in there. Like and that I understand, but it's like all right, like these storylines that's not the same. Like it's not it's not the same. Um, like it's not as exciting as it was back then. So like there's no need for these small ass stages. Like bring back those epic stages, and I think it's a cost thing because obviously it's probably going to cost more to put a big LED screen up on there. The same thing for the PLEs. Like the PLEs, like stages are so boring. It's always like some basic little ramp thing, and it's like there's nothing to it. I don't know. They make a lot of questionable decisions, and it's a strange time. And I think it's been like this for a while now. It's been like this since I'd probably say it since a little bit before WrestleMania. This past WrestleMania, that's when it started feeling a little weird when just stories weren't hitting and weren't connecting. I think that's probably what it is.
Yeah, no, you hit it there a lot on the a lot of the points here that I had. It's very weird. It's it's timeable. Like, and I was talking about it on the live stream or whatnot. Which shameless plug. If you guys haven't joined the whatnot streams, come join in. Link in the bios where you're listening. Um, but like I was talking about on the whatnot stream because some guy was like, "Well, Carly doesn't really do anything." I was like, "That's not the point." Like, yes, it's been a while since he's had. I can't tell you the last time that he's had a WrestleMania. I mean, not WrestleMania, a match live on Raw or whatever, vice versa. Maybe he has. I just don't recall it. But like my main point was that he's on Raw. Like it's not like he's not on there. Like yes, he's a comedic little thing. Yes, that it is what it is. But like that's what made some of those Judgment Day segments like hit a little bit. Like today's Judgment Day segment in the clubhouse did not hit. The PS5 was gone.
PS5 is gone.
The PS5 was gone. The TV was gone. It was black. Dom was wearing a Carlito shirt. I believe Liv had something Carlito on her boots as well.
Yeah.
So it's like it's not the fact that he's not like wrestling. It's the matter of the fact that he's on a program, at a consistent program. Judgment Day is on every Monday Night Raw and every PLE, and now he's just gone. Like that to me is weird. Same thing with R-Truth. R-Truth was just in a main event, not a main event, but in a big match with John Cena at Saturday Night's Main Event during John Cena's retirement tour. And then 2 weeks later, or a week later, or however long, 2 weeks later, you're not renewing his contract. Like that to me is absolutely insane. I think that's the most insane thing about it. And that's what we talked about those releases a couple of months ago. Like we talked about Cora Jade. Like Cora Jade was involved with Roxanne Perez, was involved in the kickoff at WrestleMania, which she had a weird, I don't know, not a weird quote, but she had a quote on Air Olania that she said like back in November, she kind of got a hunch that she
Yeah.
thought she was going to be released. She didn't know
That was
why,
weird.
but she just like had a feeling that something was going to happen. And then when she was in Vegas with Roxanne, like she said like, oh, I'm gonna go and like enjoy it as much as I can, because she like knew like this might have been her last one or like her last WrestleMania. Um, so she had those comments. Indy Hartwell, I haven't listened to her full conversation on Chris Van Vliet. I know she's kind of had some similar comments, if I'm not mistaken, kind of talking about her release. Obviously now she's at TNA, but that release she was involved in programming. You know, all the other releases there. We talked about the Braun Strowmans, all those guys that got released. that they were involved in those programs and they're just gone. Like these are not people who are just again sitting in catering, not doing nothing. Like they were involved in consistent programming. And like I get it, it's a business. I understand that 100%. But like man, like there's really like to me, if I'm a WWE superstar, like, do you feel safe? Like, if you know your contract is coming up, like, do you feel safe? Like, if you're like, I know Sheamus got his contract renewal. Like, I know the Miz, I think, is under contract for a little bit. But like those superstars that have been there for a long time, like, do you feel safe? Like, R-Truth has built the company, like you mentioned, for 15 plus years, and they just let him go. Granted, not the craziest talent, I get it, but it's R-Truth. He was just involved in a program again with John Cena, and they just let him go. Which shout out to the
I was
Raw
like, dude,
crowd today.
yeah. Yeah. Shout out. I even tweeted that too. I was like, thank God they were shining it out there. But yeah, anytime R-Truth pops up on your TV, like you just instantly like you want to like sit up and see what the hell he's gonna say, see what to make you laugh, and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, he just wrestled this past Friday against JC Mateo, and then it kind of looked like he was probably gonna get into a program with Jimmy Uso because they even went backstage and they're like, oh, I got you, Unc, I got you, and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
like all of a sudden, he's just like he's gone. And I had saw a tweet they were making it saying that like they're like somebody please tell Ron that it's April Fools and not June 1st and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it ended up not being right, and I think this is like one of the ones where like if it is TKO making these decisions, obviously they're not like I don't know how many like longtime WWE people are on the TKO board or besides The Rock and like who makes these decisions and stuff like that. But like I think R-Truth is like let go was like the one that like really made rounds around the wrestling world. Like everybody was talking about him. Like everybody, like even Ricochet was talking about it. Um, freaking Ryback was talking about it too. Like names like and stuff like that. Like I think they even talked about it for a little bit too on Busted Open. But like it was the like it kind of a shocker. Like I think another one that this probably would have happened to was probably it could have happened. It had this happen if they did the Gold route. Like Natalia re-upped her contract, but she was able to like get a little bit more where I think she can like go off brand and do her own stuff. So, um, but yeah, like I remember her like when she talked about it, she was saying how that if I think that would have been like the same level if they let her go because I think she's like real well respected within like the locker room and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And obviously her husband TJ is like I think he's I think he's a producer and stuff
Producer.
like
Yeah.
that. So, um, yeah, but I think this also comes back to like again like if it's TKO is making these decisions like with all these cuts like it you always hear about the house shows and like the lack of house shows or how they do no longer do house shows. It's good for obviously the performers and the wrestlers because they don't have to like put extra work on their bodies and stuff like that. But also means now there's less work dates for these guys. So now if you really think about it, they have Raw, SmackDown. Obviously they record prior for main event that airs on Saturdays, and then you have Speed, and then you have your PLEs. So like there's now limited work dates to have these superstars. That's why it's always fun and interesting. Like you see a superstar on one week, and then the following week it's a promo, and then it's a match, and then it's a promo, and it's kind of just how it is now. And as compared to back in the day, they had like live shows, like they would work like Monday Night Raw, and then they'd go on the road like Tuesday, Wednesday, or something like that. Um, so yeah, again, I don't know whose decision that was to get rid of house shows. If that was a TKO thing, if that's a WWE thing. Um, which I also think probably obviously if there's no house shows, that means there's less revenue for those. So what do you gotta do? You gotta jack up the prices for everything else. Like I just speaking of prices, like I had came across a ticket stub. I think it was in 2017 or 2018 when Hell in a Cell was here. Um, we my ticket stub was for the balcony level, the very first row. It was $47 for the ticket. Like, dude,
Yeah.
you can't even sniff that price anywhere.
Yeah, and I kind of wanted to hit it. I couldn't find. I thought somebody would have been. Maybe I got to do it. Who knows? I thought maybe somebody would have had like a poster or a tweet or something of like a graphic of made of all the dates here of all these events because I've been trying to familiarize myself because I used to watch a lot of AEW. We've talked about this. We used to watch a lot of AEW. I think I watched it probably a little bit more than you potentially because I still watched the Dynamite. I watched Collision, even post Punk. But I kind of fell off a little bit because kind of the bookings and things like that. It did kind of it did kind of get bad a little bit, but I've been trying to watch a little bit more. So I do tune into Dynamite. I do tune into Collision when I can. I watch some stuff there on the YouTube channel when I can. But like I'm gonna list off. These are all the deets here for WWE, and then I'll read off some of the big events for AEW. So obviously we just talked about June 7th this Saturday. We got Worlds Collide. We got Money in the Bank. Then June 28th in Saudi Arabia, we have Night of Champions. So you're gonna have again 2 weeks to build up that pay-per-view. So not a lot of time. And then you go through your break there. July 12th, you have the Great American Bash. July 12th on the same day. Like you don't need to do this on the same day. This is what pisses me off about this stuff. Like you don't need to do this on the same day. July 12th, you have Great American Bash, which is the same day of All In. And you're also doing Saturday night's main event. Like you're doing those two back to back. Like that does not make any sense to me. Then on Sunday, you have Evolution, which is the women's pay-per-view. And granted, I'm all for women's pay-per-view. I'm all for women's wrestling, but like, do you really need to have that on the same week? Like you can't have that pushed back or pushed forward. Like that to me is just bonkers. So you have Evolution July 13th. Then 2.5 more weeks later, you're at SummerSlam, which is 2 nights now. So you have August 2nd, August 3rd for SummerSlam. August 23rd, 2 more weeks. You have Road to Clash in Paris. On the 23rd, you have their out of pay-per-views there. They have like they're doing like their out of the country things. They're doing their Liverpool stuff, Newcastle. So they'll be back for a little bit. Then it for some reason goes to like a long break, and then October is showing here Crown Jewel, and then it goes to the Survivor Series. So when you compare that to AEW dates, like we just talked about, July 12th is All In. August 24th is Forbidden Door. June 4th, you have Fyter Fest. June 11th, you have Summer's Blockbuster. June 18th, you have Grand Slam Mexico. So some other pay-per-view. July 11th to 12th, you have StarCast. So you kind of see here July 11th, Supercard. So you kind of see here where they're kind of leading up to those dates here and kind of going vice versa. We just talked about Forbidden Door, things of that nature. So, like, you don't need to have September 6th is Death Before Dishonor. That sounds like a badass pay-per-view. And then we kind of talked about it there in September where they have all those Philadelphia dates. That's where they're going to be having their NXT stuff. And then All Out September 20th is going to be in Toronto. So was it August 20th? And yeah, they're doing their Road to Clash in Paris stuff. So you can see here already where all those dates and out of the country stuff are being aligned there with AEW. And yeah, like we mentioned there, if it's a money thing to go against competition type thing, but it kind of goes against what WWE has always said in the past, like, oh, we don't see them as competition. Like they're just, I remember the good old line from Triple H when DX got introduced, where there's like a little pissant company and things like that. And shout out to Tony Khan. Tony Khan did have a nice little response. Usually that dude's giving out wild. Yeah. He's usually giving out wild responses, and like you can tell he feeds into it. But he had a really, I don't remember the quote verbatim, but he had a really good response. Like, hey, like I'm just doing what I got to do. They're doing what they want to do. Like I'm sticking to my guns. Like I'm doing what I got to do.
Yeah, he pretty much said something like, that he obviously noticing that it's happening more often than it used to. And then he said that, what did he say? He said, I think the last time that's happened, that is with the Jim Crockett promotion, which I think eventually was WCW, if I'm not mistaken. And he says, like, it's not going to end that way, pretty much what he said. So he threw a little nice little jab at them.
I type in Tony Khan.
Yeah, I don't know that whole all in. That's the thing that doesn't make sense for me. Like if you're thinking from like the TKO side, like all no disrespect to NXT, but like I don't know why it's always them that's running head to head with AEW. Like I don't like if they really want to like put a freaking dampler in them, like you would want to run your main card, which obviously they're doing it again with Saturday Night's Main Event, but which they just did. They ran Saturday Night's Main Event. Oh no, they didn't. No, it was. I'm thinking of something else. I forgot that what was Double or Nothing was last week, right? And then
something like that.
Oh no, it was the day after. That's what it was. Okay, that's why I'm getting confused. That Double or Nothing was Sunday, and the Saturday Night's Main Event was on Saturday. But yeah, I don't know why they would want to run their Saturday Night's Main Event against AEW's top pay-per-view. Pretty much, they're all in. So it's a interesting choice, but
Yeah, don't get me wrong.
Who
I
knows?
like if I would pick if I'm picking All In or Great All American Bash, whatever you want to call it, like, I'm gonna pick All In if I'm being selfish. Like that card is looking pretty good right now. So that's something that I would pick over that. And I'm after Saturday night's
God,
main
my
event the
only.
way.
That's true. After this Saturday night's main event, yeah, that's not. They didn't help their case for their damn that you can miss Saturday night's main event. That's like they're not helping that narrative. But damn, my only gripe with AEW, dude, is I can't do fucking 12 match cards. I can't. It's too damn long. That is too much damn wrestling. I think they do like 3 on the pre-show, and then like they do like 9 on the regular card. I'm like, but then like I have the same. It's my gripe
Yeah,
with
we
WWE too. Like if like 4 is just not enough. Like 4 is just too little. I think like the perfect number is like 6. Honestly, 6 I think is a good number. Give me a good
yeah
solid 6 matches on a PLE and a pay per view. I'm good.
it starts at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time. So think about that for a little bit.
All in.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Low key, I was gonna bring it up. We could talk about this more off pod, but obviously since it's our area, I've been thinking about trying to go. And it's obviously see if we can maybe plan something. But I was telling the wifey about it, and I was like, hey, like all ins in Dallas and or Arlington or whatever. And then she told me that there's a bookstore. There's like a big bookstore there in the area within the area. And then she hit me with the if we can go to the bookstore, I'm all in. I'm like, oh, I see what you did
Oh, I'm
there.
gonna tell the wife about that now because obviously we'll talk about it more off pod. But yeah, I did talk about it with the other brother and he's quote unquote all in on it too. So and the wife is free that weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we should be. I mean, obviously, we'll talk about it later, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later. But yeah,
Yeah.
obviously, it's craziness was going on in this whole world of wrestling. Again, obviously, we're still talking about it. We're still gonna watch it. I know there's always people like, oh, I'm never gonna watch WWE again. Like, oh, I'm gonna boycott it. I know your ass will sit on the couch and watch Monday Night Raw on Netflix. So don't say that.
Although
Shit
speaking of that, speaking of people who are fickle, I see a lot of y'all people who were pissed off that R-Truth was fighting John Cena in the first place. Y'all were complaining on
Hey,
Twitter. Y'all were doing all this stuff, and now y'all are the same ones crying on Twitter that he's gone. So fickle, you people, fickle.
fickle. Everybody's fickle in this. Yeah, I saw that tweet too. Everybody that was crying, oh, why Cena wasting his match on this? Why Cena wasting his match on that? You got a masterpiece for R-Truth, and now you're crying that he's gone. So you caused this. You people are crying online. You caused this. But yeah, that's all we had here. We were kind of talking about it off pod as well. Not a lot of card talk, not a lot of WWE cards because Thompson fanatics want to take their sweet ass time with these releases. Nothing on the front yet. Maybe they're trying to gear up for production. Obviously, maybe they're learning from Topps Chrome and all that. Maybe they're learning from that because obviously the production has been hasn't really been allocated to any other stores. I know our stores have been extremely dry when it comes to wrestling product and sealed product, which we've been even trying to find like some old Panini stuff just to rip some good old WWE stuff. Obviously, I kind of hinted here a little bit on the card content. We talked a little bit about the debut patch, but if you guys want to come in, we have the Whatnot streams. We're hosting them every Sunday-ish. We've been pretty consistent with Sundays. So hopefully you guys can come in. Make sure you are following me on the socials so you guys know when I am going live on Whatnot. We do WWE singles, slabs, free giveaways, anything starting from $1 to $3, depending on the card. So if you guys want to come in, I know you've been in there before, Bro Pio. You've hopped in a little bit. So if you guys just want to come in, you don't even have to buy a card. Like, don't even have to come buy a card. Just come in, talk shop, talk some wrestling. I know I had some guys over from the TikTok who follow me over on TikTok joined in. Some guys that we met on Instagram. Excuse me. We met our Instagram, which we're gonna, that's potentially for a future episode. So stay tuned for that. Are gonna be coming in, talking some cards, talking wrestling. So that you'll get your full card content episode with the next week or so. But before we go into it any further here, Bro Pio, do you got any final thoughts for the good old listeners of collecting the 1, 2, 3?
Yeah, I really don't got too much. I saw your TikTok the other day, or I think you did on TikTok where you watched the match from, I think you said, what did you watch? Okada versus Omega?
Okada versus Omega, Wrestle Kingdom 11. Yeah.
There you go, Wrestle Kingdom. I don't know why I was gonna call it Starcade. What the hell's wrong with me?
Phenomenal match.
But I was like, man, I need to go down these rabbit holes too. So if there's to all your listeners out there, leave a comment. What's your favorite match? What's something we should watch? Um, is it whether don't care what company it's from, AEW, TNA, ROH, all the H's, everything. Like leave something it's one of your first on favorites, and we'll give it a look on here. Other than that, yeah, like I said, just keep track of all the socials. Come join the Whatnot stream, talk shop, talk wrestling, and yeah, let's see how this next month of fucking wrestling goes. We have a lot of wrestling to consume, so there's
A lot
probably gonna
of
be a lot of
wrestling.
reaction videos. Yeah.
You got a funny graphic lined up if WWE decides to piss us off.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. That's another thing. I'm like this close. They're I'm on edge right now with them. Those releases back a month ago, that was the start of it. Where I started to grow a little bit bigger and bigger and bigger. Now they're making me mad by these short match PLEs. There's another dish of the release of R-Truth. Like there's I'm on thin ice right now. If they do one more thing, I'm gonna put a graphic out.
And you ain't gonna like it, isn't it? Yeah. Yeah, last night, some of my final thoughts here is, yeah, just subscribe to the New Japan World. I believe it's like a streaming service it is a streaming service for New Japan Pro Wrestling. So, subscribe to that. And so when I was organizing my cards for the next stream already, decided to put on Okada and Omega for the first time. Never seen that match, seen clips of it, but never seen it. And I'm trying to get more involved on Dropkick D. I think it's called Dropkick, but I'm gonna sound illiterate for the rest until somebody actually comes on here or like goes on TikTok and says, "Hey, you idiot!" It's called Dropkick, but I'm gonna call it Dropkick D. I don't care. So went on there. I've been trying to get more active on there. So like I think even 2 weeks ago, I've seen the match before, but I watched Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson again. Put that on my list. So I was like, all right,
from Dynasty. Is that the one on Dynasty?
I don't know
we
what,
watched.
Yeah, I think it's that one.
The one PLE we watched when there was like a fucking million kickouts from Will Ospreay.
I think so. I honestly do not remember what their pay-per-views name sometimes confuse me and get me confused. So yeah, I watched that match again. I watched the Tony Storm versus Mariah May. We were chatting about that last week. Watched that one
I need
again.
to watch that one. I have yet to see that.
Revolution.
That one.
Yeah, good one. Highly recommend it, especially if Mariah May's gonna be coming here, kind of get a few glimpses of what to expect with Mariah May. Phenomenal match. So yeah, I fell into the rabbit hole of New Japan Pro Wrestling. So I watched that for the first time, gave it an instant 5-star. Don't hand those out very often, but I gave that an instant 5-star. Phenomenal match. Highly recommend if you guys haven't watched that yet. I think someone have to comment on my TikTok that I believe it's a trilogy. I know they ran it back a couple more times, but I think they said it's a trilogy. So I'm about to go back and watch the full trilogy. I don't know how they're gonna mark up that first one because that first one was phenomenal. So yeah, been on the Dropkick D, so go follow us there on that. Go check out our matches there that we like rate and watch, stuff of that nature. And like Bro Pio mentioned, check out the Whatnot streams. You can follow me at Moon3PO. If you guys have never joined Whatnot, you can join the link in the bio. You can get $15 off your first purchase. Doesn't have to be with me. Go join somewhere else. Go find a card that you like or a stream that you like. Go spend that $15. But if you do join with that link, it does help me a little bit. So appreciate you guys if you do join with that link. But yeah. That's all I had on my end. Depending on how this Money in the Bank episode goes, we'll have our post-episode reaction. And then we do have a nice little interview planned out for later the week, which that will probably be coming out next week too. So we'll have that in line for you guys. So stay tuned for all that. Bringing a lot more content to the socials and to the collecting 1, 2, 3 into the wrestling card content. So appreciate all support. Thank you guys for listening, watching, wherever you're tuning in. And we will see y'all in the next one.